Welcome back to another episode of Say Yes to Travel, where we've been talking to travel industry professionals from around the world, getting their insights on what's been happening over the past year, but more so what we can expect moving forward. And I'm excited about today's guest because he and I have actually spoken a couple of times offline, and it's great. I'm a fan of what he's doing and what he's building. So excited to have him on here and sharing a little bit more. So without further ado, Vito, thank you for joining us. I've got Vito Pagano, who is the CEO and founder of Getting Local. Vito, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah. We're very excited to be on the show today.
Well, perfect. I would love to bring everybody, a bit up to speed here, but for a bit of a background and for a bit of a better understanding, can you share a little bit about your background so people know who you are?
Sure. So this is my third business. I built my first software company. I started in 2009. I grew to be the largest merchant service auditing company in the country. And I exited that company in 2016 when I sold it to private equity. And I wanted to get back into the software space. I developed Getting Local, another company that's a disruptor.
Which is amazing. And interesting because I like that your background has more of the software background because you get it, you understand the tech space. And we'll dive into this in a little bit because there is, in the travel and hospitality space, there has been a little bit of this disconnect between technology and how they can be a bit more efficient in providing different solutions. But to set the groundwork, let's take a moment to talk about Getting Local. So what is Getting Local for those that might not know? What is Getting Local and what inspired you to start it?
So the first part of that question, Getting Local is the first in-destination travel app. So we've created the first technology of its kind that works off of GPS positioning that's able to give a curated in-destination experience to hotel guests as well as local residents. So we developed the first platform of its kind that, think of it as similar to a Google search engine where Google connects all different websites. Well, we created one comprehensive app that pulls in Viator, OpenTable, our own curated content. We marry into Google for reviews, and all within one platform, a guest can discover and book everything happening around the hotel, or if they're visiting different pockets of the city. The app is dynamic and it changes based off of their physical location.
Which is amazing. I mean, it really is, somewhat, so to speak, almost like having a little, dare I say, concierge in your pocket.
Well, the app serves as a on-demand concierge. We can never replace that white glove service,
Sure.
But the value proposition for the guest is that in-destination digital guide that from the safety of the palm of their hand, they can discover everything around them. But to the hotels, to the local municipalities, we're now driving revenues when people are in the destination by showing what's around them. Or in the future, we're able to engage with that past visitor or local resident to come back to the city and promote a food festival. So we're able to really get people back into destinations once they've left.
That's amazing. So, okay, your background is more software and technology, but what inspired you to do this in the travel space?
So I was on vacation in Mexico and I was standing in the lobby and I saw the paper kiosk with all the different brochures. And what I noticed was really the top brands, the Ruth Chris, the Applebee's, and I wanted to get that cultural experience in Mexico. So I was looking for that hyper-local discovery platform and there was nothing. Building my previous companies, I saw a lot of the constraints with marketing. Google AdWords, the cost behind management, SEO, keyword fees, the economics behind social media of getting an acquisition. So I really wanted to build a level playing field that empowered all businesses to create digital campaigns to drive revenues.
Which is amazing. And again, it's with that your background combined with what you were seeing as a consumer yourself,
Correct.
that you were able to kind of bridge that gap, which I love. And that's why I wanted to focus on that because, that's where all the big ideas come from. It's okay, wait, this was a gap that was missing for me in my everyday experience. And this is a, sort of solution. And then obviously when you can make it, I would say you can fill it out that it's not just necessarily just for consumers, but it also ends up, helping businesses as well too. So, which is, that's when you know that you've got a solid idea.
Correct. So we're gaining rapid adoption throughout North America. Just last week, we loaded up several hundred hotels, and the value proposition to these hotels is, as a guest becomes, visits the hotel, we're able to give them a travel guide from their mobile device, but really start driving revenues when they're on property. So visit our restaurant, visit our spa, or if you're a hotel, we miss you. And when you book direct, here's an incentive. So hotels are rapidly adopting our technology because of the value to the guest, the enhanced guest experience, the carbon footprint that we're reducing by removing the need for rack displays. But above and beyond all, we're able to drive revenues back to that brand directly while removing any third-party interference.
Yeah, which is so advantageous to the property, especially now because, as properties are having more guests kind of come back and really they want to, really make sure that guests have that experience, in-destination experience, which includes what you can do at the property as well as just immediately around it. So there's definitely a need for it, and to be able to have that in such an efficient way it only makes sense why people are really hopping on the Getting Local bandwagon. So want to know from you, obviously, what you're doing, what you're building is so, it is within the travel industry. What things did you maybe change or focus on last year that might have been different because of kind of going through the pandemic? Maybe something that worked to your advantage.
Yeah, so when we initially launched the app in January of 2020, within the first 48 hours, we started to work with 148 companies, from the Wildlife Conservation Society to Macy's to Madison Square Garden. So we gained rapid adoption. However, in March, everything came off. So what that allowed us to do as the pandemic came in 2020, it allowed us to go out to our hospitality partners and kind of hear what their needs, wants, and desires were. And minimal staff, marketing budgets have drastically been cut, and they were looking to remove third-party interference. So as we launched this platform as a digital travel guide for guests, we also heard from our hospitality partners that they were looking for something as well. So the business model has evolved really and enhanced itself to not only enhance the guest experience while they're visiting a new city, but also to work with the hotel to start driving revenues and start positioning their properties as guests begin to return.
Which is great. So kind of looking at the industry as a whole, you certainly have got your finger on the pulse of things. What travel trends are you foreseeing? What are you thinking travelers might want more or maybe less of?
So what we're seeing is that, as travel returns, we're seeing the download starting to happen, which is great because that's telling us that the QR code is widely accepted, and that's how Getting Local begins. Everyone is now looking for a digital solution. So no more walking around with those paper booklets or brochures, and they're looking for this, comprehensive platform, all-in-one solution where they could discover and book and learn everything that's happening around them. What we're seeing as travelers begin to return, they are starting to go to hotels again. So we're seeing those driving destination consumers coming into the different cities, whether it be Miami, New York City, Chicago, Las Vegas. So we're seeing a slight return to the hotel side, as well as people just visiting the destination for the day.
Which is great. And I know, even myself just kind of like getting out there a little bit, you're definitely seeing it. And certainly domestically for sure, is that people are excited to get back out there. They have that confidence in staying in various hotels. And more so, not, they don't want to just stay in the hotel. They want to get out and about and go around. So it is this exciting time, because I'd like to say we're not just tiptoeing back into travel. We're about to see a mad rush.
100% agree. 100% agree. We're seeing not only from travelers that are that two hours driving distance away, but we're positioned, for example, in New York City in different metro transit authority stations, Grand Central Terminal. We're not only seeing visitors from the Hudson Valley using the app, but we're also seeing local residents use the platform, because what makes Getting Local so powerful, it's a discovery tool. Unlike Google, where you go in and search for restaurants, things to do, Getting Local is pushing all this information in front of these visitors, travelers, so they can discover things. So the platform is actually introducing to local residents things they may not know of, and hence driving revenues into the city.
And which is, it's all about what to do in the destination. I mean, I've always said, and obviously, you know, me being a hotelier, very much a fan of the hotel experience, but it's like, the hotel is only one part of the travel experience. And so to have that sort of technical through line, I mean, technical as in like via technology, that through line, because it's not just being at the hotel, but then it's like what you do once you get there. So it certainly is this exciting time, so to speak.
Yeah, well, typically, 90 days before you travel, you're visiting. All 96% of searches for accommodation hospitality start online. And 90 days before they arrive at the destination, they're going on the OTA sites or the hotel directly. They're booking where their accommodations. They're looking at what they want to do while they're in the destination. Getting Local is filling in the gaps when they arrive to that city. So we know 3 out of 4 bookings happen the day of or the day before. So being an in-destination guide, we're perfectly positioned to give those guests discovery of what's happening around them. So we're more of a filling the gaps while you're in the city you're visiting.
Yeah. So speaking of filling the gaps, there's long been this divide between technology and hospitality, how to like integrate them seamlessly, because there is this aspect of, there is that obviously the human touch, the human element when it comes to hospitality, but how do you see maybe this bridge being gapped? Because I mean, first of all, this gap being bridged, because there's been this gap for a while, and we're using technology. We've got our phones on us. We're doing it for everything else. But what's been going on with technology and hospitality, and why has it been so hard to bridge that gap?
Well, I think a lot of the technology out there today requires technical integration, and that comes at a cost. And a lot of hotels don't have the budget right now to introduce these new integrated platforms. Getting Local is completely agnostic. We don't marry into any technical integration, so it's a self-service platform. But I think some of the other, constraints may be, how is the technology viewed that may interrupt the concierge experience at a hotel? How that can affect that one-on-one communication to provide that white glove service that only a concierge can do. And, as we were introducing this platform, a lot of the 5-star hotels that we're now working with, that was one of the, biggest thing echoed among all of them was, hey, we want our concierge to, maintain what they do. They're providing white glove service to our guests. Your platform really circumvents the concierge, but the reality is that it doesn't. So what we've done is we've created a discovery tool where I could learn about a helicopter tour or a bike tour. But if I want that white glove service, if I want that above and beyond experience that only a concierge can provide, we've built a way that our platform can now engage that concierge, the property concierge, whether it be email and phone. So if I want to take that helicopter tour, I can now engage with that concierge to set up the black car service. And after that, I want to go out to lunch. So the platform is now really working with that concierge counter to fulfill that white glove high-end experience that only the concierge can provide. So a mobile app is not going to replace the concierge. It can't replace that, again, not to be redundant, that above and beyond experience. But what it can do is create discovery. It can introduce reviews and then lead to the concierge to set up that accommodations for black car service or a unique dining experience.
Yeah. And by the way, that is music to my ears, because I know that you and I have spoken about this at length offline before, but it's exciting to kind of hear the way that it's kind of like marrying that, because again, I think with everything is that there is a way to work together. I mean, that's also what travelers want. I think all too often, and I'm sure that you agree with this, is that sometimes it's too much of a focus on like the business and like what the business had been doing or what worked for them before. But then the other aspect is like, what does the consumer want? What does the traveler want? How can there be that ease of communication where maybe half of it is like at your fingertips, but then, where you need a little bit more of, as you mentioned, the white glove service, how you can marry the two, because they can absolutely be part of the guest experience. And I think it actually heightens the guest experience.
I would agree. So the platform is creating discovery, but the concierge is filling that only above and beyond experience that only they could provide.
Yeah.
So although we're seeing, technology is evolving certain industries, kind of how, the auto industry evolved when humans were replaced by computers, we're seeing that technology is coming into the travel space, but it doesn't have to replace any type of experience. It really should just enhance that experience and give the guest the best in-destination experience while engaging with that concierge.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, you know my sentiments on that, so definitely agree with you. So just to, a couple more questions here before wrapping up, but would love to hear your thoughts, just like, just on a bigger scale, like the predictions of the future of travel, just what you're kind of thinking or seeing. But there's obviously been this talk as far as whether business travel is dead or it's just going to take a long time to come back, versus obviously a huge influx of leisure travelers, to this aspect of just people wanting more digital or contactless options. Like, what are you kind of seeing, maybe in the shorter term to maybe a couple in the longer term?
So technology is great, but I do not see it replacing that one-on-one human experience, like shaking a hand. So yeah. I'm getting back out there. I'm traveling again on business. Zoom calls are great, but there's something about that one-on-one, sitting down, shaking someone's hand and learning more about their role, their company. So I don't think business travel will ever be replaced. I do think we have a little bit of a gap as we see the vaccine, being distributed throughout the country. Obviously, international travel is going to face some constraints into 2022, but I think by January of the new year, we're going to be traveling again, leisurely as well as for business.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you. And that timeline, I couldn't agree more with that timeline. That it's definitely here. It's here and it's upon us, so to speak. So, just before we wrap up, anything that you all are working on at Getting Local that we should, make sure that we, stay tuned for? Anything that's coming out maybe in the next couple months?
A lot of things.
You're like, how much time do you have?
Exactly. We're always, enhancing the technology as we hear from our partners something that they want. We're able to build it. We have our own development team on site. But some of the recent add-ons that we built into the technology is video placement. So it's wonderful to have a picture, but now a consumer can really engage with that business by watching a 30-second commercial on our platform.
That's amazing.
The videos, what we're seeing on the back end analytics, are getting phenomenal engagement, because it's one thing to see a picture. It's another thing to see the experience through a video and then go right into Google reviews and hear other past consumers' highlights. So we're building, all this is now into the platform. The video can be introduced. We've added Google reviews. We've added a COVID-19 safety button where visitors could learn protocols in place before they arrive at a restaurant or attraction. But every week, Sarah, to answer your question, we're enhancing and updating the platform.
But just even those things that you're mentioning, it's so pertinent and it's so relevant, and it just goes to show you. Obviously, like once you get that visual interaction by the video component, for example, that's huge. So I personally am really excited to see just everything continue to roll out and evolve, because I see it only growing in the right direction. So
thank you.
Kudos to you. So that being said, for those that are tuning in, where can they find out more about Getting Local, and where can they connect with you?
So the app is free to download on both Apple and Android phones. There's no cost to install the app. For businesses, they can go to gettinglocal.com. Here, through our self-service platform, they can build a complimentary campaign. We don't require any credit card. They can start looking at analytics. It's a very easy, friendly platform to work with. And to get in touch with me, it's as simple as emailing Vito, V-I-T-O, at gettinglocal.com.
Perfect. Love that. Well, we'll make sure that we have all of those details in the show notes. So Vito, thank you for joining me today. This is so great. I love it. For me, it's like, it's always exciting when you've got, friendships outside of the show, but then to bring it to life as well too, because, as I've mentioned before, I'm a big fan as far as what you're doing and what you're building, and, to just kind of like help share it with others as we're getting back into travel. It's an exciting time.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Well, for everyone that's been tuning in, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We'll make sure to have all the details in the show notes. So hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. We definitely covered a lot of great things. So be sure to stay tuned as we continue to say yes to travel.